You're listening to the Nerd to Know Media Network. Join us at nerdtoknowmedia.com.
Broadcasting from the Blanchistan Centre, this is Phoenix FM.
This is 92.5 Phoenix FM, community radio for Dublin 15.
Hey everybody, it's JB Jeremy Borash, and you are listening to Darrow O'Connor on the...
Hello everybody, it is Tuesday here on Phoenix 92.5 FM, or Friday if you're somehow listening to this as we're recording it. That's impressive. My name is Darrow O'Connor and you're listening to The Wrestling Rewind, the only wrestling podcast by wrestling fans who don't hate wrestling. Except for this episode maybe. We're talking about two bad things and I apologise in advance. You can blame Martin for at least one of them.
Yeah.
But you know, we try to see the positive in this, but by God, Martin, this week's going to be a tough one.
There's some, but yeah, they're few and far between. But listen, even I said when I suggested the In Your House arc, even I said that the first couple of stops are going to be choppy waters.
Indeed, and this is one of them. But it's infamous. It's one of the shows that like lives in infamy. Like when you suggested it, I was like, oh, that sounds familiar, and then I googled it and I remembered why. It does have some good spots. We will get to it, but of course we're talking about WWE In Your House number 4. However, before we get to that, last weekend was SummerSlam 2023, so we're going to quickly talk about that. That was also, it was a rough show. We're going to keep it nice and tight. No, we're going to keep it nice and tight. It's going to be an hour this week because we have a back catalog shows that haven't gone up yet. I'm away next week. Martin's away next week. We're away the week after that, and then AEW. So there's not a drought of content coming, but we're actually ahead of the content. So we have too much content to come out. So it's all going to be drip.
Too good, too professional, too productive. That's our problem.
That's a good way to spin me not putting up the shows. It's a much better way to spin it. So we're going to do that, and like there's a bunch of content coming as well on the feed, and of course on the radio as well, over on the True Penny channel, so you guys will not be wanting for content. Okay, but I'm not alone this week. You heard him, the one and all, Mr. Martin Hardy. How are things, Martin?
Grand, Dara. Yeah, bit of a rough week. Like I was saying before we started, I in training last week, I don't know if it was jiu-jitsu or wrestling, but somewhere along the line, I managed to get a perforated eardrum.
Ouch.
So been dealing with that all week. But sure, look. It's August. It's all in month. Like short of day and what can really go wrong?
A lot. I mean,
I'm going to be more optimistic.
I wouldn't test fate like that. I mean,
I'm telling you now, I will have to be literally dead in order to not drag myself across the Irish Sea and into Wembley Stadium somehow. In fact, I had my first setback this week.
Oh.
So the hotel that I was staying with emailed me to say that they were cancelling my booking.
What?
And I contacted them to say why. And they said, oh, there's a burst water pipe in your room.
Oh, man.
Well, you're telling me that a hotel isn't going to fix a burst water pipe in the next 3 weeks? And I think what's happened is they didn't realize how big this show is. Like they thought, oh, there's a wrestling show coming on, blah, blah, blah. Like,
are you close to it? You are close to it, aren't you? You're like, yeah.
I was like a 10-minute walk away. And now that they've realized just how massive this show is, they're kicking out all the people who booked early and got like the normal rates, and now they're doubling the prices, because whenever I booked new accommodation this week, it was twice the price.
See, this is Martin's R-Truth gimmick. C-O-N-spiracy. Yeah. Look, I
Tell
don't
me
know.
when I'm telling lies.
I always, when I go to London, I stay in the same place. I stay all the time. So they haven't emailed me. Everything's still good.
You're gonna tell us where it is, or are you worried about when we're over there? Are you worried about stalkers, about fans,
That's true. Yeah, no, I'm not going to reveal any of that. The thing about it is like I just wouldn't stay close to major events or venues, because it's just,
well, I agree that would have been the sensible thing to do, but one, I don't really know London that well.
That is true. I know London very well. Yeah.
And two, Sunday the 27th is going to be a pretty big day for me, and I thought, in terms of safety, I probably need somewhere that's within stumbling distance.
I think you did the right thing, sir. As I said, I just know London really well. It's grand. That's why I have a place I go to, because I just know it. But yeah, no, I think you're right. Like, we're going to be there. It's going to be gas crack. If anyone is there, we'll probably be the ones with the podcast mics. So come over and say hey.
And definitely we will be. You'll know it's us, because we'll be the only ones there with podcast mics. Nobody else will be doing this.
Yeah, but we'll be drunk as we're doing it.
We will.
That's the difference. Like, obscene.
And we'll have our big Mayo for Sam sign with us.
Oh yeah, that's how you'll know. That's how you know. I actually need to get on that, because that's 100% going to happen. Okay, let's start with SummerSlam, because I didn't want to watch the show. I know Dave watched the show and he loved it, of course. Like 5 stars, as Dave does.
I was thoroughly sports entertained.
He was thoroughly sports entertained, and I mean, I can see why. The Logan Paul match is everything he loves in wrestling. The match itself, it was what it was, but that alone was enough to get Dave hooked. Like, I just know him. He was all over that. The Cody Rhodes Brock Lesnar match. I didn't watch it because I threw up on my mouth every time I saw Cody Rhodes. The Battle Royale.
He's going to turn and he's going to come back as Stardust, and you're going to be his number one fan.
Oh, I'm all over it. Even if he's dashing Cody Rhodes, I don't mind. Just, that's not dashing or whatever. It'd be brilliant. Or damage Cody Rhodes or whatever. I'm all over it. Just this white meat babyface thing. Not a fan. I was happy to see LA Knight win the Battle Royale. I mean, I think it's his year. He has to win the title this year. Like, it is his to win. And if he doesn't win this year, maybe give him a Royal Rumble win or something like that.
It'd be hilarious if he won it instead of Cody. If he took it off Reigns.
It'd be brilliant. I mean, come on. The guy won me over in one night. Like, at a house show, I became a massive LA Knight fan. I'm like, whoa, this is unbelievable. Like, you have your top star right there. I want to say something, but I can't swear on the radio, but it's more along the line. It's stronger than Boo Cody Rhodes. It begins with an F and it's a 4-letter word. Martin, don't say it, because I have to edit the show again. That's not fun.
Flip Cody Rhodes, you flipping flipper.
The MMA rules was shockingly disappointed, because I mean, they're both legit MMA people, and it was probably the worst thing I've seen on WWE television in a while. Holy hell.
With that one, what I don't understand is, like, it's SummerSlam. You have the money. Gimmick it up. Put a big, do the fight pit, or do the
Lion's Den,
or do,
what's wrong with a lion? Even having a Lion's Den match would make sense, because that's where it debuted at SummerSlam.
It just, I mean, I'll let you get through your thing, but yeah, for me, one of the main issues I had with this whole show was that so much of it didn't make sense, but seemed so easy to solve. But I'll let you go ahead.
Yeah, so ridiculous, just thoroughly disappointing. The Gunther Drew McIntyre match was actually very good. Gunther obviously won. I don't think anyone's taken that belt off him for years. And I felt bad for Drew because it looked like he was going to do it. But yeah, the kind of co-main event was up next with Balor and Rollins. Unfortunately, Balor was not successful. The match was actually pretty decent, but I don't know. It was very by the numbers near the end. So
yeah,
and then setting up that the feud isn't over because Damian Priest came out and his big head was sitting there looking in at Rollins. So I mean, like, okay, we're gonna have Damian Priest now. This is even worse than what we already had. The women's title match: Asuka and Charlotte Flair and Bianca Belair. I hate this match because I hate Charlotte Flair. Bianca Belair bores me to tears, and Asuka should have won.
I hate so much that they have a talent like Asuka and they only ever consider her to be a transitionary champion.
Well, the upside here is that Bianca Belair was a transitional champion and she lost to Io Sky. So I can't be too mad on this. I was actually very annoyed when Bianca won because I was like, Asuka should have won. But I think Io Sky has a lot more upside even a bit more upside than Asuka because she's a fair bit younger. So I was happy with this. I didn't see this coming. It was actually
what do you think, like, more generally of the Money in the Bank stipulation? I mean, for me, it's like, well, like, I mean, I get it, and it's been a big one for them for a long time. Like, it's pretty much become one of their big 5 pay-per-views, but I don't know. It doesn't seem like a great way to build a baby face.
Look, I mean, I think, but they haven't really used it in a way to build a baby face. Like, the best one who ever cashed in that way was Rob Van Dam.
Yeah.
When he was like, we're doing it at ECW one night stand.
Yeah, well, okay, so that's good. Yeah,
and that was cool.
Can do like an honorable
an honorable cash in.
Yeah,
but they haven't done that. And I think Mr. Kennedy wanted to do it as well at WrestleMania. And then obviously he got injured and his career went down the tubes thanks to John Cena. But and Randy Orton. I mean, to be fair, there's 2 of them in it. But poor Mr. Kennedy, he got a bad doing. He really did. But look, I mean, I think because they've set the problem with this is they've set the boundary where it's like, look, you have to cash in. And the only way you can cash in is when someone's beaten. That's the standard. Yeah. No, there was no one else going, look, no, we're gonna settle this at this time. I want my WrestleMania main event, or I want my moment at this. They haven't established that. So because they haven't established it and they've only established, the whole point of this is they can cash in at any time, that's what they go with. They've walked themselves into a box that doesn't even need to exist. And that's the problem.
Yeah, it's one I'm conflicted on. Like, I can see the good and the bad of it, but the other thing is as well, with it being like its own pay-per-view and all now, it's sort of just become part of the cycle. And the thing is, it's almost like it's either predictable in that they run down and they win the title, or it's almost like a millstone around your neck, because if you cash in like after someone's had a match and then still don't win, that's a double. That's a double burial.
Well, that's what they did to who was it?
Austin Theory, wasn't it?
Yeah, they did it to 2 or 3 people. They did it to Sandow as well, and they did it to Cena. Actually, Cena didn't win.
I suppose it's different for Cena because he's kind of corporate now.
I know, but I mean, it's they need to reinvent how they book that, and I think it does go back to the fact that they're like, you don't know when they're going to cash in. Compared to, like, if you want to make a baby face, take anyone, right? Just say LA Knight, right? LA Knight wins, and he goes, look, I'm going to cash in at WrestleMania when the lights are brightest. There we go.
Yeah.
Or I mean, if, like, to go to Bray Wyatt. Well, look, to go to Bray Wyatt, right? For example, if now obviously I know he's ill and we don't know yet, but when you use him as an excuse, right? If he just say he had this spooky concept, right, and he won the Money in the Bank, and he's like, look, I'm gonna cash in, but it's gonna be in my match at this time. And that way you have this massive concept where it could be some stupid match. Yes, Darker's match or something. But think about it. He could debut a new match type at this pay-per-view, and it could be all built around it. WWE don't do that. They're like, oh no, someone could cash in when someone's already beaten. You're like, okay, you need to think bigger because this is getting boring. However, at this point, I'm so glad to see Io Sky come out and win because she's great. So
it's one I'm torn on, but I think you're right that it's been, what has it been going, about 15 years now? Money, it's probably due, not gotten rid of, but it's probably due some sort of a revamp.
They just need to realize that, cashing in when somebody's beaten is definitely part of it, but booking in a way that's more interesting. But you don't even put it on the line anymore, which is they only have done it once or twice, and it's like, no, you have this great tool that you're just not using. And I think it's because at the end of the day, they like having this thing they can pull out, and that's kind of what they've fallen into. Now, look, that they just need to get out of that. And I mean, in this case, it worked, but if they did it later on in the night or something, I'd be very, very upset.
Well, look, I think we're going to have an interesting discussion about the main event.
Right, well, let's go there. I mean, do you have any...
Before we go to the main event, because we'll probably want to talk about it.
So I'm going to give you the floor. I kind of ran through my thoughts on all the matches. So did I miss anything, or before we go to the main event?
No, and like a lot of what you said, I agree with, and I won't go like match by match or anything like that. I'll just pick out some. Yeah, man, whatever you want to do. Some of the main points I thought that it was. I like yourself. I did not think this was a good show. Like, verged into bad at times. The Cody match. So there's only two matches I was really looking forward to. Was the Cody Brock match, which I felt really underdelivered for two reasons. One, they're verging dangerously into that Roman Reigns pantomime, walking about the ring, loudly monologuing the plot points. Like Brock kept throwing Cody out of the ring and going, "Stay out, Cody, stay out for your own good, or I will hurt you, Cody, so stay out of the ring for the count of 10. Bugs me so much. And then the finish of it, like, see your hatred of that white meat Cody Rhodes babyface thing.
Yes. That's
exactly why fans turned on him in AEW.
Yeah, he hasn't figured this out yet.
He is doing exactly the same thing again. Like, there's no nuance to his character. He's Superman. He can't be hurt. He's incorruptible. He's all good, and he always wins. It's so boring.
Yeah, and he hasn't figured this out yet. Yeah,
and it's so unbelievable. Yeah, like, and not Vince McMahon. Unbelievable. It's unbelievable as in I do not believe this. Yeah. So I was really disappointed in that match. The Walter Drew match. Maybe I just had my expectations set too high for it, because even when we're watching WWE pay-per-views, like, I'm not the biggest fan, but there's a couple of people you can usually count on for a really good show, and Walter All was one of them. And I don't know. I thought the match was good. Like, if this had been like a match on Raw or whatever, you'd be like, yeah, that was a really good match. I don't know, for how big it was built for SummerSlam and for my own personal expectations of Walter. I don't know. It kind of fell short for me, and it signified an issue I had with the pay-per-view overall. Now, I don't know if maybe people just had an off night, or if this is maybe a ruling that's gone around on the quiet, but nothing on the night seem to have any impact. Everybody seemed to be really, like, none of the punches were landing with any impact. None of the slams.
That's because you are watching the wrong show. You're supposed to be watching TNA Impact.
But I don't. Is that just like? Was that just me?
No,
nothing,
you're right. I mean,
nothing just felt like it had any weight behind it or any.
That's because nothing did. Like, look, you take anything that was happening on that night, and it's the same as any other show. It's just like SummerSlam's supposed to be next to WrestleMania, right? But now that isn't true because the Saudi Arabia shows now are kind of WrestleMania, right? Or second to WrestleMania. And
I think most people would probably even consider the Royal Rumble to be like, the second show.
No. What I mean is, you are right? But what I'm saying is, like, there's WrestleMania and SummerSlam was supposed to be WrestleMania in the summer, right? Basically.
Yeah.
But now it's like that's been taken over by the Saudi shows, which are actually always booked quite well, and there's stuff to be able to write home about it. The Royal Rumble is always going to be important because of the Royal Rumble. There was nothing on this show that justified the tagline of, WrestleMania in the summer. It's like, no, it's just an above average WWE show with a couple of good moments in it, And I mean, that's not enough. Like, there was nothing here. Like, yeah, we watched it in your house, right? And it was terrible. However, I'm going to preface it. It's real bad. But it felt like it felt like a show. It felt like there was star power there, for better or worse. And there was no real, like, look, listen, right? I know people love the Bloodline storyline. The Usos are not main eventers. They're just not. They're not. They're not. They never will be. I can't tell them apart. Genuinely. I mean, there's nothing interesting about them. They're like mini Roman Reigns that look the same in loads of ways. Like, I genuinely cannot tell them apart. I really can. And that's because they're twins. Like,
I've never been.
They look like Roman Reigns, but smaller, and they're twins. They're like identical twins. So it's like the same problem I had with the Bellas. Could never tell them apart. So it's like. So there's nothing really unique here. It's like, okay, cool. The storyline was great, but we're not doing the storyline anymore. And one, it's like, like it was Jay, wasn't it? It's like, listen,
I don't know.
See, there you go. That's what I mean. That should not be your reaction to a main event. You should know, and that's my point. Like, there was nothing here that hooked you in. Like, when the Usos were in the house show in Dublin, I left because I'm like, okay, whatever. This is boring now. And it's there's no, and the tribal combat thing is like they didn't even really. It was like,
what was it? No DQ?
It was no DQ, which is stupid. Just call it a no DQ match. Like, they didn't even look. If they really wanted to do this, here's what I would have done. Not to go fantasy booking on it, but here's how they could have made this work, right? Or no, it did work. Look, it was incredibly successful, right? It was. Let's call it a spade. But from an interest standpoint, this eventually will just, it's very bland. What they could have done is, well, Jay should have looked different. He should have come out, different gear, look like shake up his look a little bit, wearing the white pants. It's like, fair enough, he did, but he still fundamentally looks like Jey Uso. There should have been some major change to say, look, I'm on my own here now, blah blah blah, right? So whatever that is, you can't really give him more tattoos because he has loads of tattoos already. Something.
I know what you mean. Something to signify that he has left this faction or this part of the story.
The only thing that said it was he's wearing the white gear now. But you know what he looked like? Sin Cara. So when I was watching him, I'm like, okay, when your brother's out, I still can't tell you guys apart, but now you look like Sin Cara. And all I could think about was, that's Sin Cara without a mask. So that opened, and I mean, now I've said it, everybody's like, oh my God, this is true. It's like, yeah. So that's not good. But what they could have done is, right, let's say he had some sort of cool gimmick out, right? That's step one. Step two is, right, actually define what a tribal combat match is. Have weapons around the ring. Have a special weapon. Now, again, some people are like, yeah, but they're not very culturally sensitive. It's true. WWE are really bad at it. But you have 3 lads from Samoa, or with Samoan heritage at least. Ask them. You know? Lads, what do you use? What isn't insensitive? That's what I would have done.
Well, there's two.
And then made a thing out of it.
There's 2 aspects of that. Because you could have done that, and it would have made sense. You could have had them do something, like you say, that was more paying tribute to a culture rather than taking the mick out of it. But the other thing about that is then that would mean that at least it wouldn't have been a no DQ match. In which case, Jay, it
is Jay, yeah. See, this is an indictment alone that we don't even know the man's name. We don't know if it's Jay or Jay,
But the other thing about that, if they had gone that route and done like Tribal Combat, made it something really unique, something different, it would have meant that Jay, the babyface, wasn't an idiot who agreed to a no DQ match with a man whose whole reign has been about having other people interfere to make sure he doesn't lose.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what?
And he was involved in it. He was one of the people doing the running in.
Yeah,
you know what would have made sense, right? Again, on that point, because that's a brilliant point. A special cage match. What is Tribal Combat, right? Again, bring out the lines then. Put some sticks around it.
100%, yeah.
Just something. Anything. So you have a vision, like you have a visual of this appeared on the show and it was worthwhile, instead of just bland person came out, had bland match with Roman Reigns. It's like,
or even if you don't want to do a big gimmick, just say, we'll have Tribal Combat, and in Tribal Combat the title can change hands on a DQ. So now you're not going to have run-ins or that. Now you have to beat
or right. So Tribal Combat. So it invokes, the bit from Black Panther where they're fighting in the river.
So like top of waterfall, wasn't it?
Yeah, do that. I mean, do anything. Just literally anything to make it somewhat interesting, because all we got was a boring no DQ match that ended by some lad running in and making sure he won. It's like, listen, buddy, gotta think outside the box here a bit. There's So actually, I don't know if you watched Dark Side of the Ring this week, which was all about. It was about the bass at the beach.
Oh, very good.
With Vince Russo. It's actually brilliant. It's very good. And I'm just like, watching that, you're like, okay, there's a guy who went too far outside the box, walked past the box, set the box on fire, and then, forgot the box even existed, right? What WWE have done now is they set in the box so firmly that they're not even like, it's like the Plato's allegory of the cave, where they're not even aware there's a world outside it, right? They need to go a little bit, need to at least go to the top of the box, look outside and go, oh yeah, okay, there's some stuff out there. And that's where they need to go.
Dimension.
Yeah, they need to just expand a little bit, because again, there was nothing on this show that in any way made me want to watch it again, maybe want to watch it the first time, or made me care. Like, their big play was Cody Rhodes, and I'm like, guess what? Unless he's walking out dressed as Stardust, I don't care.
And he should have been DQ'd. He hit Brock Lesnar fully with the ring steps direct. Like, this was WCW levels of the referee.
The referee's in on it.
2 feet away and looking at him.
Yeah, it's like, oh no, how did the referee miss that? It's like, he didn't. He just chose not to say anything.
He just didn't care.
He just didn't care. He was checking his phone at the time.
The other thing with the main event was, I've never been a fan of this Bloodline storyline.
Sorry, Jimmy. The other one is Jimmy.
Oh, so that's why it's confusing, because they're both Jay.
This is what I'm saying. One of them needs to wear a mask.
Or change it. It's Jay and K Uso.
Or shave their head. Or anything. Literally anything. Call one of them the Samoan Spike or Spiky or I don't know. I'm not on creative
Sheamus.
here.
Jay and Sheamus.
Jay and Sheamus. There you go. That's better.
You never mix them up.
You never mix them up. Or like Jay and Paddy. There you go.
I think so. I've never been a huge fan of this Bloodline storyline, but like you say, it's been phenomenally successful. There is absolutely no arguing
And
that.
it was 4 hours long. Why was this show 4 hours long? I want my money back. Not really though, because the network's actually pretty good value. But still, 4 hours long is too long.
So even for people who are into the Bloodline thing, right? That's fine. Like it's just I personally don't like it. I think it's so heavy on really tedious melodrama done by not very good actors. But I think even now, even people who really love it, I think even they have to now admit that they missed the peak of this thing at WrestleMania. Like that was when it peaked, and that was when it should have ended. And it has been a long slide now into this SummerSlam match that was, I think, universally considered dreadful. And the reason I can say universally is because normally if a WWE pay-per-view, even if it's only okay, like if it's only just not a disaster, they are all over social media talking about how it was the best thing ever. See, in the week since this happened, it has barely been mentioned. It's just been silence following this show. And I think that more than anything is an indictment, because it means even the, Bloodline mega fans, even they can't muster the energy to like pretend this was good.
You know what it has? I'm going to just turn it a little bit. It's like when something bad happens in AEW and nobody talks about it. It's the same. Yeah. It's the same kind of thing. You know what, guys? You know when
Matt Hardy.
Hold on. You know when bad things happen on TNA? You know what we did? We called it out. We said fire Russo. Both of you need to learn from this. You're both awful. Like the meme. AEW mega fans and Bloodline mega fans need to learn from TNA fans. And something is bad, you scream fire Russo.
Mega fans in general, like, we just need wrestling fans. And if AEW is your thing, brilliant. And if WWE is your thing, brilliant. And if you like both of them, brilliant. But you should talk about the thing you like, not talk obsessively about the thing you don't like.
Yeah, but see, that's how we coped with TNA. That's what made it okay, where you just be like...
But you were doing it among each other.
This is true. Fans of the previous show that we did before the rewind will know that a lot of it was, this is why TNA was bad this week.
Like before AEW came along, when it was basically just WWE. I mean, you had New Japan and all that. That can be difficult for people to get. Before AEW came along, WWE fans openly admitted to each other, well, oh my God, that was the crap. Oh, can you believe they're doing this? And they'd take the mick out of the shows and they'd slag this and that and everything. And then the minute AEW came along, that all just shut down. And they were like, no, everything the Fed does is amazing now, all the time, forever. And it kind of ruined the crack. Like, oh man, I really can't stand Twitter or X.
It's called X now, yeah.
Called X now for some.
Oh man, we were talking about that before we went on. What an interesting update that is.
Yeah.
Anyway, so look, should we watch SummerSlam 2023? Absolutely not. Go and watch anything else. I suggest paint drying. I suggest the floor. I suggest a lovely sunrise, which we don't get in Ireland that much, so that's probably actually is a good thing to watch. The rain.
It's shocking in that there's no matches
fire,
in it.
The water, a toilet seat. These are all things that you can watch instead of it. Just don't watch it. It's just a bad show. You're gonna have a bad time. I had a really bad time.
Yeah, it's what really got me about it was that there's no matches in it that are standout. Like, you can't go, oh, watch it for this one amazing match. There's no major storyline developments in it. Like the Bloodline thing just keeps trundling on. Like, WWE is going to do what they always do.
Got to continue the story.
When they come upon something successful, they are going to wring they will only drop this thing when they have milked it so much everybody hates it.
I have to say though, I think we're in the minority, man, because apparently like people love this show, and I just genuinely don't know why. And if you did, look, I mean, great. Let me know.
I haven't seen it on social media. I haven't seen people talking about how this.
No, but the review I'm looking at here was exceptionally positive. But what I'm saying is, like, if you're someone who like absolutely loved this show, please let me know. I mean, social media, we're there. The wrestlingrewind.com. You just, all our social media are linked there. Genuinely let us know. Be like, actually, I disagree. I thought Bianca Belair is the greatest wrestler of our generation, and her loss was devastating. And it made me love wrestling. Cool, let me know. Or I can tell Jay that Jey Uso is going to be the biggest star ever. And he does not look like Sin Cara. Cool. I mean,
I believe in Cody Rhodes.
I believe in Cody Rhodes. I mean, he's not the most boring person in the world, and is Jeff Jarrett. He is not. I mean, he doesn't even bring a guitar out with him.
No.
So come on. And he doesn't have a roadie.
Like, for God's sake, Brock Lesnar broke your arm and then put the broken arm in a Kimura. It's not a loser thing to tap out. Like, watch UFC. Amazing, incredible, unbelievably tough men tap out all the time, constantly.
Because then you end up a cripple.
You're not. See, when you do this stuff where you make Cody Rhodes look like literal Superman, you're not making me love Cody Rhodes. You're making me go, oh, see, Cody's doing his own booking again. Yeah. Which is never good. I suggest watching Dark Side of the Ring this week, because it explains why, indeed, that is not very good. But look, we're going to hop in the time machine here, man. We're going to go all the way back to October 1995. Oh, golden era, the heyday.
Of literally the worst period of WWE, like historically. But you know what, man? I don't know. I think there's been worse periods than this. I think a lot of the 2010s, were worse than this. Pretty much once Cena won the title, it just became insufferable. And I would say, and for me, that would be worse than this. Like, look, was In Your House 4 good? No, it was real bad. But I still had a good time watching it. I mean, Diesel was there, the Bulldog was there, Triple H was there.
Yeah,
it had everything. It just, no, it didn't have everything. It didn't have Jeff Jarrett, and it didn't have the former number one contender who went 1-on-1 with The Rock. And within 3 seconds, could have been the world champion.
That's it. That's it.
That's all it needed. And it didn't have it. But it did have his soon-to-be tag team partner. It did have winner of the what's it called? Brawl for All. It did have the 1, 2, 3, the Hando 3 kid.
Yeah.
There you go. There's someone. If you're an independent wrestler, right, and you're listening to this, there's your gimmick. The Hando 3 kid.
Yeah. The Hando 3 Wayne.
There you go. Absolutely. I mean, why not? He's not going to come after you. He doesn't care.
I mean, like, this is like universally, like, whenever you do those top 10 lists of like worst pay-per-views ever, this always comes up in it.
But this show, I mean, like, sorry for interrupting, man, but it is really bad. Like, I was watching it, and I'm watching it, and I was just like, does Martin know how bad this show is? It seems like it's targeted, right? Because, I mean, look, there are some star power there, and all joking aside, there's some star power there. Like, this is the debut of Goldust, which is weird, because it's like, oh yeah, Goldust showed up at this point. We have like 2 or 3 title changes in this, but not really.
Yeah,
the title doesn't change hands, and then so in the one show, the title's given up, the IC belt is given up, and then Dean Douglas loses almost immediately to Razor Ramon. And then we have Diesel losing at the end of the show, but the title doesn't change. So it's just like, okay, we had big changes here. Why the Bulldog was booked to win, despite the... look, there's lots of questions. We'll get into it, but the bottom line here is, this is, again, another case where the show made less sense the more you were watching it. And I think this is for the first time... as we were watching it, I think the show itself was less good, even as a whole. But there are some interesting stories around it. So I would say I would if you're doing some research on this now. I know, Martin, you're always phenomenal for doing research on this. So I'm gonna yield the floor to you in a second. But some background. This was known as In Your House 4, but it's been retroactively known as the Great White North pay-per-view. So now that's what it's known as, because it was the first pay-per-view of this type in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, which is where is that where Benoit was booked from? No, it was, or Jericho used to be booked from.
Jericho
Winnipeg.
was Winnipeg, yeah. Jericho.
Yeah.
So it's In Your House 4, the Great White North, and the front of the video features the American flag and the English flag. No mention of Canada, and Bret Hart wasn't wrestling on this show.
But it had the largest attendance of any of these shows.
Oh, that must have been in-house attendance, like.
Yeah.
Okay,
Because the buy rate wasn't great.
The lowest buy. It had one of the lowest buy rates ever.
Yeah. So, but that's what's ironic, because the actual the gate was actually really good.
Well, I tell you what, for what is a pretty terrible show, the crowd, the fans are actually great the whole way through. I mean, there are some. Everybody has their limits, so there are some matches where they can't muster the energy. But for a lot of it, they keep this alive when other crowds will let it die.
And what's interesting is, while Bret Hart isn't wrestling, he is on commentary. Like, he would be in the dark match and close out the night, but he's on commentary getting over the fact that he's the next challenger. So this is kind of the bridge for them to actually finally accepting that Bret Hart should be the main event guy. And that's kind of where they're going towards. Here's
what I don't get. So see, Bret Hart comes out to, like you're saying, to commentate for the main event. So when he comes out, that is the biggest pop of the night. Like, it's massive when he comes out. So I don't know. I don't understand why you wouldn't just rejig this around. So it's, say, Bret Hart and pick, the number two.
You know why? Because Bulldog was notoriously a drama queen, and he wanted his main event spot.
No, don't make it the main event. What I would have done I would have had Bret Hart. I would have had whoever the number 2 heel is. And I would have said that this match is for Survivor Series. Whoever wins this match goes up against the champion at Survivor Series. So that way you would have had Bret wrestling on the show in front of the Canadian crowd.
He did.
A big pop.
He did. He wrestled Isaac Yankton at the end of the night in the dark match.
Yeah, again, the dark. So they put him on last. So they knew that that's what the crowd wanted. I just don't understand it.
Because, look, how many times have we come on here and been like, look, the dark matches were actually better than what was on the card, which is normally true. This was a stopgap. That's what this was. They had to get over certain things. They had to really push ahead with a lot of angles. The main big thing here was the IC belt situation, the debut of Goldust, and then getting Diesel from here to Survivor Series. That's what this was. So the whole point of this show really was to get from A to B. And you know what? So this show had a very low buy rate. Do you know what it's tied with?
Oh,
pop quiz.
December to Dismember?
Yes.
That was the only one I could think of that had like a ridiculously low buy rate.
It's tied as the lowest ever buy rate in WWE history.
But they're both on
about 90, yeah. So, okay, so I'm not going to bury the lead here. Tell us why the Heartbreak Kid had to relinquish his title. I know you just can't wait. Go on.
Well, there's actually conflicting stories about why the Heartbreak Kid had to relinquish his title. So
I'm looking at a news report right here.
But even that, like, there's been different accounts of what happened.
All right, go on.
So they had a house show the night before in a different city, and depending on whose version you're willing to listen to, Shawn Michaels, the British Bulldog, I think the 1-2-3 Kid, were out in a bar, and Shawn, you're not going to believe this, got mouthy with someone. It's totally out of character for him. Can you believe that? And depending on whose version you listen to, he was either beaten up by 12 or one person.
I think it's probably more likely it was just the one person.
So one of the accounts is that he was in a car and he was slobbering or whatever, but he was like out of it on, drinking, drugs and whatever else. And that by the time the person came over and dragged him out of the car, he literally just passed out. So he was completely defenseless while they were laying into him.
So I have a quote here from Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer newsletter. It looks like it was Friday the 13th in Syracuse, New York. And according to the Observer, the police report stated that Michael suffered lacerations of the right eyelid, the right cheek below the eye, 2 black eyes, swelling and blood coming from the ears and the right eye. So they battered him.
Leathered him.
Absolutely battered him. But that makes a lot more sense now because he was passed out. So they were just laid into like him as he was just KO'd. So that's a bit unfair. So basically, yeah, so the report here is, as you said, the slight difference in last week's Observer that the police and the police report were in fact that the police report was largely derived from Waltman. The men who instigated the incident yelled insults at the driver of the car, Donna Jones, and not Michaels. The police report stated that Michaels was in the front seat, but so intoxicated that he had passed out and was actually asleep as he was pulled out of the car and mercifully pummeled and had no chance to defend himself. Oh my God, this is horrible. So there you go. That's directly from the police report. So no wonder he got battered. He was asleep.
Yeah, but again, the police report is coming from like the account of.
But I mean, how out of it do you have to be?
That's why I question it. Do you know what I think happened? I think Michaels is being his usual. We're still on the radio, so I can't I can't fully express what he was being. But he went. Let's say he went full Michaels.
He was being a bold boy. That's what he was being.
He was being a bold boy, and got into a fight and didn't know what to do when he said to your man, all right, drop down, international elbow, jump up for the drop kick. And instead of doing that, your man just beat the hell out of him. I think he was slightly confused,
But yeah, so that's why he dropped the title. But the story's too funny to not bring up. But look, we're not gonna go into the show too much because we only have a little bit of time left. But on the whole, like, look, Rikishi was there as Fatu with Triple H. The match was passable. And I would say
for pay-per-view, it's just kind of nothing,
It was kind of nothing.
That would have been passable on Raw,
But the best match of the night was Smoking Guns defeated the 1-2-3 Kid and Razor Ramon. That was the best night. And fair play to Razor, he double job tonight.
Yeah.
And he was in 2 title matches.
Not only the best match, but actually like afterwards. So Razor basically beats the double guns, but then beats the guns. But then 1-2-3 Kid is jumping up and down going, oh, tag me in so I can get the pin. 1-2-3 Kid comes in and gets the pin, but ends up getting rolled up and losing. And then he throws a fit and pushes off Razor and attacks the guns and tries to steal the belts. And Razor gets them and gives them back. And I thought there's a really interesting story here with that team breaking up, given the dynamic of Razor being like this huge guy and 1-2-3 Kid being, sort of an uppity, overly exuberant young fella.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty interesting.
It was a good dynamic. Like, I mean, the standard is small guy, big guy. But like, as we've said before, Ramon actually is huge. Scott Hall is a very tall guy. Yeah. So, I mean, that's why it works. It's just not, it requires you to think about it because it's not like, it's like Randy Orton. You think Randy Orton is small? No, he's not. Like, know what this team reminded me a lot of? RK Bro.
Oh, yeah, actually.
Very similar to that, like in that dynamic. Because what people might not know is Randy Orton has a weird shaped body. He's a very tall guy, but he's very lanky. And you don't really see it until you see him live. And when he does the RK, you're like, whoa, he's like taking up half the ring. And that's kind of what Razor Ramon was like. So I think that team was actually really well paired.
It's kind of a strange pay-per-view in that it's like sort of widely acknowledged as one of the worst ones ever. But the first match is passable. The second match is good. They kind of lull you into a false sense of security, thinking.
Can I just say, right? Another way people are like, oh, Marty Jannetty should have got over, right?
Yeah.
How?
He was always my favorite rocker. Always
look at the state of him.
Well, he's dressed like the 80s gimmick. He's dressed 1995.
He's dressed like a bird.
Him and Coco Beware could have been a team.
And I'm like, listen, buddy, this was never going to work.
No, it did. Because it looked really good in the 80s.
Yeah, but the crowd are looking at him, right? And the look of bemusement that they've seen, like, it's actually very entertaining. Because the crowd, like, remember, this is 95. They've just seen Goldust, and they're like, what the hell is going on with that gold fella in the ring, right? And then Jannetty's there. And the two of them just look so out of place. Because Jannetty's like 10 years too late, and Goldust is 10 years too early. So you're like, the crowd just have no idea what to do or how to respond to it. And the match itself ends with like a very, very...
It's not a very good match either.
It's not a good match. And
they actually made this mistake twice on the night, right? They brought Marty Jannetty out, and I was like, oh my God, I haven't seen him in ages. This is class. And then they debuted Goldust, and I was like, well, Goldust isn't losing in his debut, so sorry, Marty, right? So you're basically bringing Jannetty out to job him. So why have him have a 12-minute back and forth? Like, you're going to job him. You're going to put Goldust over. Put him over. Have him come out and be weird and creepy and have him just maul Jannetty. And they did the same thing later on with the Intercontinental title when they awarded it to Dean Douglas, and then they had
take it away immediately. Yeah,
Ramon come out, right? Yeah. But they never used Dean Douglas again after this. No. So if you're going to put Razor over, put him over. Don't have him go 14 minutes back and forth snooze fest with Dean Douglas. Have him come out and maul him with 3 Razor's edges in a row. And like, if you're going to put the guy over, put him over.
You know what was worse than all of that?
Mabel versus Yokozuna.
Oh my God. It might actually be the worst match I've ever seen.
Yokozuna is terrifying and gassed.
He can't do anything. He's gassed before he leaves the stage. He walks out gassed. The worst thing over.
I have down in my notes here. So Mabel won King of the Ring, so he's King Mabel at this stage. So he gets carried to the ring on a big throne, and these 4 lads have to carry him. And these are big burly men, and you want to see these poor fellas. They are struggling getting down the ramp carrying Mabel. And I have down here in my notes, poor lads carrying Mabel to the ring. The only person who had a harder job on the night was Yoko carrying himself to the ring. Yoko,
these lads
in
are
the ring.
These lads are burly. You have to be like, they're like, the lads that are pulling they pull like the big semi trucks.
Yeah.
That's what they look like, and they look like they are struggling.
But Yoko. So the match starts off. Yoko not runs forward, but the two of them sort of walk up to each other, and then Yoko pushes Mabel and then pushes him again and then hits him with an elbow, and Mabel falls out of the ring. Actually does a pretty good tumble out of the ring, right?
Yeah.
But Mabel's the one who fell out of the ring. Yoko's gassed.
He's in bits.
We're 30 seconds in and he's gassed.
And he's there like, he's like when you have your head between your knees, gassed.
Yeah.
That gassed. It's like he's running a 10K.
Yeah. Oh, he's leaning over, just pretending he's talking to Mr. Fuji. And he's like, you're just leaning because he's
bad. Just bad. That's
it. Ends the bloody double count. Like, there was just no need for this to happen.
No. But I think it was to kind of build up the Undertaker angle kind of thing, but
yeah, I suppose. But
nobody looked well in this. Nobody looked well in this.
In fact, Yoko is so gassed that there's towards the end, this match is 5 minutes long. Towards the end, Mabel does a bulldog, and Yoko is so tired he actually can't go down for the bulldog. So Mabel does the bulldog, basically just slips off him. Yoko doesn't move, and then he just throws himself out of the ring because he's too tired to go down for the bulldog. And even Vince McMahon goes, what the hell? What does he go? What was that?
But the important thing about it is they have a hug and they're all mates after it.
They are. Do you know the way we always say with these in your houses, like you mentioned it earlier, that sometimes the dark matches are even more interesting than the ones that are on the show?
Yeah.
There's a dark match on this I really want to see because, like we said, Yokozuna is 30 seconds into this match and he's terrifyingly gassed, like looks like he might die. And then later on in the night, he has a tag match with Owen Hart.
Yeah.
Yoko's pulling double duty.
Yeah, no. He's walking out twice.
Did Owen have to roll him down to the ring? Or
they probably got the lads who carry King Mabel because they're mates now.
Yeah.
Like, here, come on, let me use your throne for a bit. He's my mate. Don't worry, we're fine. We're good. We're buds now. That's probably what happened. That's my theory.
Mabel are like, we can't. We're all off away for shoulder reassignment surgery. But I'm mad to see that because it literally must have been Owen does everything, and then Yoko tags in for the pin. It must have been.
But look, the upside here is I think the next In Your House actually seems to be all right. We get a casket match. We get a Hogs Pen match. It's just after the curtain call, it looks like. Actually, it is after the curtain call, which is why Triple H is in the Hogs Pen match. Yeah. So I think we're after turning the corner. Would I say watch In Your House 4? Absolutely do not. But we are going to leave it there, Martin. Is there anything you want to plug before we get out of here?
No, I just want to say that a couple of weeks ago, do you remember I told the story about how the videos, prices of videos had changed?
Yes.
I think that's been showing up in these pay-per-views because ever since we did that story, every time they do a giveaway, they're also like, and if you buy this t-shirt, we'll also throw in a free WWF classic video cassette. And it's always like a blank cassette. Like you don't know what's on it. So it's clear that they just have a warehouse full of thousands and thousands of tapes that they can't sell. And now they're just giving them away with whatever they can, like, you know, buy a Coke at the concession stand.
Just giving out VHS tapes.
Get yourself 6 VHS tapes.
Maybe. I will say I want to plug Silicon Valley after Martin's suggestion.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal. So if you guys if you want to watch something that will consume like 5 days of your life and you'll just binge watch it, watch Silicon Valley. It's a lot of fun. And we'll be back next week, not to talk about In Your House, because that's not what we're doing next. Well, we won't be back next week, but the next show won't be In Your House, ladies and gentlemen. It will be in Wembley, AEW, either on location, a pre-show, a post-show. We don't know yet, but you don't want to miss it. We'll be live in attendance. That's going to be the next show here.
If you're in London and you see us hanging about, give us a shout. Come over. We have whenever we do this show, we have very little plans for how it's going to go. So the Wembley show is a free for all.
We've absolutely no plan. All I know is
format it's going to be.
We have no idea. It's just, it's going to be interesting. We will be there. We hope you guys are there too, and it will be available for everyone to listen to. But for myself, for Martin, and for Dave, we will see you next time here on the Wrestling UI. Bye, guys.
Thank you for that.
Thank you for listening to a Nerd to Know Media production.